Hey, welcome to John Bound Politics number 40. That's right. We made it to 40, just like Macaulay Culkin. On this episode, we'll talk to Jeremy about a topic that I can't get enough of: music. The author G. Edward Griffin, who wrote the Overton window moving classic The Creature from Jekyll Island, conducted an interview with Soviet defector, KGB propagandist, and possible CIA asset Yuri Bezmenov in 1984. In that interview, Bezmenov described 4 stages of the Marxist takeover, which he said that as far back as in 1984, that some of those stages had already been accomplished. These stages would essentially serve as a template for how to penetrate Western civilization with Marxist ideology and gradually implode it from within so that the so-called revolutionaries could manipulate the crumbs that were left over. One of those stages, the first, known as demoralization, is a process where Marxism is indoctrinated into our culture, especially the schools. But more importantly, and I think this may be the most overlooked, is the degradation of our musical culture as a voice of individual freedom, a check on morality, and a creative force that knows no equal within Western civilization. Musicians in the past could reach other free-thinking people with a reflection on societal truths and norms. And by the past, I mean about up until right around 9/11. When suddenly the music industry was swallowed up by an illuminati stranglehold and terrestrial radio automation, where a God-given talent like an Eric Gales or Derek Trucks was relegated to the backburner. Their distribution to a wider culture via Billboard charts, terrestrial radio, or the Grammys was tossed in the dustbin of history in favor of brainwashing gangster rap and monotonous, sexually suggestive, vile pop music focusing on America's youth. Here we are 20 years later, and I'm still stunned by the mental illness driving the zombie hordes of Marxism burning down America's cities. Joining me is Jeremy, who is a musician and a Twitter friend of the show, who's here to talk about the pervasive rot in the American music industry and how that translates into a larger cultural affliction. In the wake of the release of Cardi B's WAP, we'll discuss what teens and young adults are exposed to today while trying not to sound too grumpy and old. Young people use music, especially popular music, to express themselves and help them interpret their emotions and the world around them. With SoundCloud mumble rappers and pornographic hip-hop seductresses as their musical guides, is there a chance of Generation Z leading us out of this rather dark sonic age, Jeremy?
John, I don't know, man. I'd like to think so, but I'm not really sure. Some of the music they're into, like the vapor wave and the chill wave and all that stuff, it seems like that's all they have. Like, they don't even like music where people play instruments.
They really don't. It's a culture that's had everything done for them, and they're used to it being done for them. And I think that get up and go is get up and gone. Because it seems like all of the mental illness that we're seeing, especially right now up in Wisconsin, isn't it amazing that you can look at these people and think, I can understand 1 or 2, 10, maybe 50, maybe 100 of these people having this mental illness that they clearly have, but thousands. And in order for that to happen, there had to be something that affected them. And, go ahead and reminisce on the glory days, because there was a time when music was incredibly important and it was fueled by, you had to be good. You had to be good. You had to be saying something in order to reach the people and be popular, or you had to be incredibly talented. And that's all gone.
It's gone. And, especially, I don't want to sound sexist here, but, when we were younger, boys weren't into pop music and hip hop. We had actual bands, and that's gone. That's gone. There is no Metallica. There's nothing for young men to really get that angst out like we used to have.
Sure. And
it's all gangster rap now.
And that's what they're doing with their angst. And the gangster rap, when I was, I must have been 9 years old, but I went to King's Dominion and saw the Sugar Hill Gang and Grandmaster Flash. And
oh, wow.
And that was hip hop. That was the birth of rap. And, growing up, loved Run DMC and, eventually got into the Beastie Boys, but I had already heard all that stuff before. I'd grown up with hip hop. And so
right.
When I say what I'm about to say, it's not as if I for some reason am detached from rap. But what I'm about to say, what I'm saying is modern rap sucks ass. Sucks big
horribly.
ass.
Horribly.
And
the lyrics aren't there. The talent isn't there.
Well, and they're rapping about killing people.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing in the streets.
It's killing people and it's sex. That's all it is. If you can even understand it. And honestly, I think it's kind of like that on purpose. You had said in the intro there that the Illuminati had taken over the music industry, and it's almost like they're mass producing garbage on purpose to demoralize people, and they know people will lap it up. And I look for in 20 years, the rap will just be some dude farting into a microphone, and people will still buy it.
Yeah. Sorry, I had my mic down. That's hilarious. And back in the day, that would actually that'd be Weird Al Yankovic doing it, and he'd be parodying another song. But
right.
But in the future, it'll just be a guy farting. It might as well be. You listen to Cardi B's. I was told, oh, you got to hear this Cardi B song, and I thought,
God,
and I grew up with, when I was a kid, Like a Virgin from Madonna, and she's being very seductive and everything. It just, to my own Christian upbringing, it seemed like, wow, she's really pushing the envelope, but it's nothing compared to what Cardi. But I will say this for Madonna. At least Madonna, she's a horrible actress, but at least she's a good musician. And
true.
And so, it was catchy. It was pop music, but it sticks in your head. If you're thinking of that song, you've heard it. It's running through your head right now. But I guarantee Cardi
there was a level of songwriting there, John,
sure,
that we don't have today.
Well, and that's the thing is, so I went and I read the lyrics to Cardi B's WAP first. And didn't listen. I hadn't listened to the song yet, or I actually went and watched the video, just to take the whole disgusting thing in. And and so I read the lyrics, and I can read them here. It's this is I can cuss. Fortunately, I can repeat a Billboard chart-topping song on my own little podcast. But it starts out.
You're popping my cherry on WAP, man. I saw the video, but I haven't heard the lyrics. I've been kind of dreading it, but it's a huge thing.
I'm everyone else is like, I saw Tucker and he was like, go read the lyrics, so I did. And I'm just going to read them here because I can. And if there are any kids around, I'm just saying out there to the listeners, if there are any kids around, turn this off right now, or cover their ears, or tell them to leave the room. Or put some headphones on, because I'm going to read the intro and the first chorus. And, okay. I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, here we go. Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. Ho up. I said certified freak 7 days a week, wet ass pussy. Make that pull-out game weak. Yeah, you fucking with some wet-ass pussy. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet-ass pussy. Give me everything you got for this wet-ass pussy. And, okay, the thing is, the creative spirit about American individualism is we kind of give that a pass because we expect that maybe the music behind it is good, but it's terrible. It's terrible. I went and listened to the song. It's some automated, just monotone, monotonous crap.
Produced.
And she has no ability as a musician. It's just horrible. It's just the worst music ever made.
Okay, the left is tied hand in hand with feminism, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
How?
Right.
That is the most. A woman's only worth is her pussy.
Right.
But somehow that's tied to feminism, and that's okay. Now, if you or I would say anything 1/20th of that, we would be labeled misogynists. If we just said,
we already are, just for being white males. That's just a given.
Correct.
To that generation, by the way.
It's total hypocrisy, man.
Total. And it's total demoralization. Like I said in the intro, it's
Yuri.
It's all about demoralization. It's all about not doing the right thing ever, and making a culture out of not doing the right thing. In fact, doing the Luciferian opposite of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And
Inversion.
it's like how the Luciferians they do their black mass is the Catholic mass in reverse. The upside down cross. Everything is put up on its head, and then it's turned around and sold to our children, and so that's been going on for 20 years. Now, you had said there aren't any bands out there for these generations, and the thing is, unfortunately, there are. There's you. There's me. My brother has a band that's very popular. He probably doesn't want me to talk about it on the show, but there's no exposure. And so what happened to me was I was doing a public radio show in Georgetown, Kentucky, outside of Lexington, Kentucky. It was 50,000 watts, and the name of my show was JB's Home Cooking, and I was very popular because I was playing great music. If it was good, we played it.
Mm-hmm.
And I witnessed the end of everything. I met Derek Trucks when he was 13 years old. I met Bob Dylan. I met just on and on and on. I met all these people, but they were coming to us because we were the last post. We were the last place they could go to because of the automation. And then our company got basically destroyed by a guy who worked for Clear Channel and came in there and took us down because we were beating all the Clear Channel stations in our area, all the way up to Cincinnati, down to Tennessee. We were just owning the whole area. And we hired this guy. We didn't know he was Clear Channel. He came in and basically took us down, destroyed us from the inside, and that was the end of that. And then so I'm looking for a job after that, and I go to get a job, the only station, that I can get a job in, and it's a Clear Channel station, and my job would be to sit there and make sure the automation stays on, that the computer doesn't freeze up. That was my new job, and I quit.
Yeah.
I quit and I left. But that's a real metaphor for where we are. It's automated.
Yeah, and here's the sad thing, John. Even the music that isn't automated, like quote-unquote rock music today, it's either like it's like garbage. It's either overplayed radio. It's like pop. It's rock music, but it's really just mass-produced pop, or it's some indie stuff. And I can't lie, I do like some indie bands like Fleet Foxes. There are some good bands out there, but they're, what's the word, man? It's so wussified.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's all this shoegaze, very docile, just, I don't even know how to explain it.
They got no balls.
None. And they're all hipster leftists.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, and they've you know, my generation, Generation X, is kind of the end of it all. We just the music that Generation X made. You know, when I was a kid, punk was just starting, and then you go through the 80s and up into the 90s when we grow up and we start making music. Mm-hmm. If you go back and listen to the 80s, you know, late 70s, 80s, 90s music, you're going to hear people they're constantly trying to push the envelope. And,
right.
And that's what we always expected. But now there's no, I mean, if somebody is pushing the envelope, you got to go find them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Or they're just pushing the envelope with pure filth.
Right. Right. Well, like Cardi B. I think that's what she's doing. It's like, look at me. You know, I can say what's never been said before. The promotion of the N-word within black culture. Mm-hmm. And, of course, they put it out there, and let's say you sang that song back at a Cardi B concert, which to me must be, that's if I go to hell, that's where I'll go.
A living hell. A
living hell, yeah. And I'll be forced to repeat these lyrics, but
God.
In society, if you repeated those lyrics as a white person, and it's funny because it says beat it up, N-word, catch a charge, you get beat up and you catch a charge from somebody that's offended. And so this double standard, the hypocrisy is all a part of it. It's as if in order to understand and appreciate her music, you really have to be mentally ill.
Agreed. And man, I'm seeing it firsthand. You know, I'm a West Virginia boy from the country, and I'm watching this generation of little country white kids, and it's all mumble rap. Like my little brother-in-law, he that's all he has. It's that image. It's just absolutely ridiculous, man. They don't understand what good music is. They've lost that.
Yeah, we could go on forever on this topic. But we're kind of running out of time. So I did want to get. I heard you've got some interesting news about some Indian mounds on your property. If you could tell me that story, I'd love to hear it.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, it's actually my former property. But yeah, there was an Adena mound there on that property, and I was never a guy that believed in the paranormal, anything like that, until I moved into that property. And I'm here to tell you, man, there's something to that whole thing.
Oh, you've come to the right place. I've had numerous experiences, and
wow,
yeah, I've had.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I've had at least 5 out-of-body experiences. The first one was triggered by a car wreck when I was 15 years old. So, and then I was able to do that several times. And that's just one type of psychic phenomena that I've experienced. So I totally get it. So wow. I really like to hear your story.
Yeah, man. It was crazy. It was one of those things I tried to write it off as much as I could. But when it gets to the point where you have witnesses and other people around you are experiencing it, but it started just with like knocks, taps, stuff like that. And then it finally progressed. Like one night, my wife and I, our boy was 2 months old. And as you know, a 2-month-old, he can't move around a whole lot at all. Can't even roll over from his back. And we had made a little makeshift bed out of a blanket on the floor and went into another room to close the door and smoke a cigarette. We didn't even finish a full cigarette, came back, and it was like something had took that child's ankle, turned him 180, and pulled him about 5 or 6 feet up under a desk.
Wow.
Yeah, so here's what really made that even weirder. there is a device called the ovulus that the TV show Ghost Adventures uses. And I had purchased one. I didn't even know if it was going to work. I had no faith in it. Well, about 2 nights after that, I turned it on, and it said it picks one word at a time out of a database of about 4,000 words. So for it to give you a coherent sentence is almost impossible. There's no way it can do it by chance. And it said his name, carpet, pull, drag. And I asked it after that, I said, who are you? What's doing this? And it said, demon. So that kind of spun me off, man, into this whole, it's been 10 years of researching the paranormal. I've had,
I can see why you moved.
Yeah, man. And I'm, even before I moved, I was just done with it. It's not wise to search for it in your own home. You're kind of opening a doorway there.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's very, very real. I know a lot of people don't believe in it or believe in the spiritual side of life, but it is very real.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You don't want to, I mean, you could battle it by having either a shaman or a priest come there and try to drive it out, but it's just not worth it. And
that's kind of what
happened. You haven't had any. How long ago did you move?
We moved back in the spring, but it had stopped for probably 3 or 4 years before then. And I'll be dead honest. What stopped it was me turning to God, turning to Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a total shield.
Absolutely stopped it.
Yeah, you surround yourself with the archangels, and I mean and they can't get through. It can't get through.
No.
And and that's it kind of goes back to our topic here. Kind of brings us full circle because that's what the demoralization does. Is it removes that protection for an entire generation of Americans. When the rest of these generations, more or less, were protected, and and so, I mean, you're seeing what happened in Kenosha with this kid, the 17-year-old from Illinois who shot, 3 people, and it sure looks like it's self-defense to me. And we'll see. I mean, they have laws in Wisconsin that say, that he was acting in self-defense, but. It's just common sense, but there's going to be more of this. They're not protected. They're not on the side of good. They're not on the side of right. And what goes around comes around,
Yeah, man. It's just like the Bible says. These people call good evil and evil good. We're definitely at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, they turn it around. And, I need to probably... Well, next week I've got a guest coming on, but the week after that I'm going to go through the history of the Illuminati in the world. It's a long history, but it really, really explains a lot. And, and a lot about history. It's an alternative history, but it's been going on all this time, and it goes way back. Especially begins in the 18th century, but it really, kicks off through the 19th century, and it's really been going on through the 20th century, and it's culminating right now. And
peaking for sure. For
sure. And, so, yeah, that's one of the best things you can do is believe and protect yourself. And like I said, I had my own experiences. I was raised... I went to First Christian Church in Moorhead, Kentucky, and I was raised by 2 Christians. And a lot of my family, some of my family are atheists. And, this is America. You can believe whatever you want. My ancestor is John Bound, and I won't go on too much about that, but you can look him up. He has an H in his name. And he's the guy that's responsible for religious freedom in this country, and he's my direct ancestor. So there's
man, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and my family is like, Abraham Lincoln's great grandfather was a Baum, and we're related to at least 9 presidents, but it's all, and we're also related to the Winthrop family, so it really comes down to morality. It's not hard,
No,
it's not hard. And I'm not one. I've got friends now that are preaching, and really good friend back in Moorhead, Kentucky, who's preaching. And I'm not one to force anything on anybody, but I will say, you should go towards what's right, because I have experienced things, and I've been to the other side numerous times. I should probably get more into this on a different show. Maybe I should get like a psychic on or something. But and that totally convinced me that when this life is over, it's not over. It's not over. It's not over. It just keeps going. And so you better be ready for the next thing. This is all just a test. And
absolutely.
Listening to Cardi B is you're going to fail that test.
Big time.
And pushing a Marxist revolution on the only freedom-loving, philosophically adept creation ever that the human experience has had is a big F minus too. So.
Agreed.
Well, Jeremy, I feel like I could talk to you forever, but we're looking at 30 minutes now, and I'll be sure to talk to you again. Just tweet me and let me know what's on your mind, and it's always good to talk to you. Is there any way other folks can reach you online?
Yeah, absolutely, man. My Twitter handle is High Plains Grifter. That is HIPLAINZ Grifter, GRIFTER.
That's great. And that's on Twitter. Well, that's great.
Correct.
Well, thanks again, Jeremy, for joining me. And again, I look forward to talking to you again.
Yes, sir, buddy. And just last statement here for me, God is the answer, guys. Turn to God as much as you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We all need him. We all need it in our lives. And it's interesting what happens to your heart and your mind when you do that.
Yeah, it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's real. Try it out and you'll see.
Just try it. Just give it a try. If you don't like it, you can go back to listening to Cardi B. Right?
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining me.
Okay, John.
Take care.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for listening. You can find me at John Bound Politics on YouTube, at dailynewscollective.com, at Newsbound on Twitter, on the HC Universal Network, at band.video. Good night, America, wherever you